this a great game or what with the Hall of Famer Tim Kurkjian? I'm his son, Jeff Kurkjian. And Dad, we've got a lot to get to. Kurkjian's takeaways on this date. A lot of fun stuff, but we got to open up with, you got a late night text message from a manager of a Major League Baseball team. Was it after midnight you got this text?
It was just before midnight, and Aaron Boone texted me just before midnight. Let's remember, Jeff, I have a different relationship with him, and it's not healthy because I was his teammate for 6 years at ESPN. You just can't forget that stuff. And he used to text me in the middle of the night all these ridiculous things that were so good, so funny. So just before midnight on Monday, he sends me this text. He says, "It's RBIs, right? You say RBIs, right?" He said, "I'm on a mission. I'm certain it's RBIs. I'm right, aren't I?" So I write back to him, "Yes, of course you're right. I've said RBIs my entire life." Now, Jeff, it's interpretive. If somebody says RBI, do you think I'm going to get angry or yell at them? I know I can be a pedantic little twit once in a while, but there is no right answer here to this, okay?
No, but I kind of think saying RBI sounds wrong. If he said he finished the season with 100 RBI, it doesn't feel right to me. And I understand that it's runs batted in. I get that. It's runs batted in, so it's already plural. But since it's an abbreviation, I feel like it has to be RBIs. Jeff, it doesn't sound right the other way around.
The comparable is prisoners of war. They're not called 100 POW came home from the war. It's POWs. So I know a guy named Joe Diorio, who's one of my favorite guys. He writes a column and he's written books called The Art of Words. He's an expert on words. He writes about word usage all the time. So I called him about RBIs just the other day. Okay, now I'm sure that I'm going to call him RBIs no matter what he tells me, but he says, "Oh, you're absolutely right." Here's how he explained it. Because the first word is plural, it manages the rest of the usage. Home runs hit, walks per game. Those are plurals, but they dictate the rest of the usage for the phrase. Prisoners of war, runs batted in. So he says it's correct English to call it RBIs. Now, again, if you call it RBI, I don't care, but I've done this my entire life. I'm 68 years old, and I'm not stopping now, okay?
I'm very curious what Mark Simon, our buddy, would say about this very conversation. This is one I would get a text message from him for sure.
Well, yeah, he texted you about it's not the MLB because that would be the Major League Baseball. It's just MLB, and
he also texted me this week about our Tuesday episode asking when we're going to get Kathy Kurkjian, your wife, on the podcast, my mom, as a guest. And he said, "What are the chances that would happen?" I said, "No shot in hell."
Yeah, unless we're going to talk about antiques.
Right. And then he said maybe she could be an I am a seam head. And he explained it as she's a seam head because she's had to deal with your dad for the last 40 years of marriage.
That's a good point. 40 years ago, Mom argued with me whether a foul ball was a strike or not. I had to explain to her that I know a little bit more about this than you do. And Mom was a college golfer. Mom's a great athlete. She's got great hand-eye coordination, but she shouldn't be arguing with me about baseball because she's 1,000 times smarter than I am. The only thing I know better than her are baseball, basketball, and sitcoms from the 60s and feeding the dogs. That's all I can do better than your mother, and you know that.
Well, that's a good point to pivot, speaking of my mom and this family, because we have huge news. A new addition to the Kurkjian family.
We've got a dog. I've had a dog my entire life, but year and a half ago, we lost Tito and Maggie in a 6-week period, 2 of the greatest dogs ever. And we haven't had a dog since. So Mom just took it upon herself. Aunt Cindy said, "Hey, I've got a rescue dog here. She needs a home. We went and picked it up. Mom went and picked it up. So now the dog is home. The dog is great. She played with Carson and Emma, our 2 grandchildren from Maryland. You have a grandchild in Philadelphia, McKinley. So it was great. Everything is great. The only thing until today that we hadn't come up with was a name. So we opened it, Jeff, to the entire family to pick the name for the new family dog. I understand you have come up with some names. Is that correct?
Well, listen, dogs are everything to the Kurkjian family. And to take it back a little bit, you lost your 2 dogs, Dad, in a 6-week period. And in the 3rd week, we lost our dog, Pirate. So the Kurkjian family lost 3 dogs in 6 weeks. Now, we did not, as a family, last as long as you did without a dog. So that would have been fall of 2023. We ended up getting one before even the spring, really, of 2024. My wife, we got our dog Ranger, our previous dog Pirate. Dad, you had pointed out these are both team names of Major League Baseball teams. We didn't name Pirate. We adopted him. He was 8, so we knew his name. We named him Ranger because really my wife loves Ranger Suarez of the Phillies.
Right.
And so, Dad, I don't know what our next dog's name is going to be, but it's
Diamondback.
Mariner, maybe. I'm not sure.
Diamondbacks would be really long.
Red.
Right.
Red is a great dog name.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay,
so what do you got?
I put together. So it's a girl dog, right?
Yes.
Okay, I had to make sure. I haven't met the dog yet. So I put together some female dog names that I think could be kind of cool. All right. I'm going to go from the least favorite to the most favorite.
All right.
Okay. Diamond.
Like it?
Which I like, like a baseball diamond. But my wife did say that it kind of sounds like a stripper. So she immediately ruled that one out.
Jeff, Emily is right. We're not going to do Diamond. And for that, maybe that reason. Okay.
Babe.
After Babe Ruth. Love it.
Obviously. Cam. C-A-M.
After
Camden Yards.
Oh, very nice.
Casey, I thought was a really great dog name.
Right.
Casey Stengel, right?
Right. And Jeff Hoffman right up the street has named his dog Casey. I see Casey every day taking a walk. He was named after Casey Stengel, so we can't go there. No repeats, Jeff. You have to be creative with our names, correct?
Yeah. Ryan, as in Nolan Ryan. He's been on the podcast a lot. We've talked about him a lot on this on this. So I was thinking that. Kirby.
Okay.
Kirby Puckett. Jackie, like Jackie Robinson. I like that one.
Okay.
All right. Well, just give me a little more because now we're getting to the ones I actually like.
I think you got the wrong order here, Jeff, but keep going.
Jax, which is more of a boy dog name, but Jax. And my favorite one is Sandy.
After Sandy Koufax?
Yeah.
All right. Jeff, they're all good. They're all good. We've debated, and since we got the dog from Georgia, I wanted to name the dog Hank after Hank Aaron, but it's a female dog, so we had to get rid of that. My second choice was Frank from the Elias, since he's such an important part of the show, but also a man's name and a little bit confusing if we say Frank from the Elias, come here. I didn't think that would work. The dog has a lot of spots. So I thought for a short time we should name her Spot, but that's already taken by Stephen Wright, maybe the greatest one-line comedian ever after Rodney Dangerfield.
Right.
It's Stephen Wright, the first joke I ever heard him say on The Tonight Show, first time I ever saw him. He comes out, he looks at... He goes to the microphone and he says, I spilled spot remover on my dog. Now he's gone. That was the joke. And I said, I don't know who this guy is, but he's the funniest person. So at the 86 World Series, Jeff, I've just gotten to know Stephen Wright from watching him on The Tonight Show. And I'm walking into Fenway Park, and he's walking the opposite direction, but we're right next to the ballpark. I see him coming, and I go, oh, my God, it's Stephen Wright. So, and, he's got that deadpan humor that you know about. So I just stop him, and I say, Stephen, you are the funniest person I've ever seen. And he went like this, thanks, man. And then kept walking, which was great. The character he is when he does his stand-up routine is the character that he is in real life. I would have been real disappointed if he said, hey, great to see you. Thanks so much. Come on, let's go have a beer and I'll tell you some more jokes. None of that. He was exactly the way he was on The Tonight Show. So
wait. Does your dog's new name have anything to do with the 1986 World Series?
It does not.
I thought you were going to name your dog Mookie.
Well, Mookie was Lane Kurkjian's recommendation. Name her Mookie. But I call a lot of people Mookie, and I just for fun, and I don't want to get mixed up. So I'm gonna.
Well, you always said you call a lot of people Chunky, and you always wanted to call a dog named Chunky.
Right. I don't think Mom would go for Chunky for the name of a dog, even though I love that word and I love that name. All right. So we settled on a name. We've landed on a name. And it came from your godson, Carson, age 4. Now, what does Carson love more than anything other than, say, well, he loves cars, but what does Carson love more than anything?
Dinosaurs.
Right. What's his favorite dinosaur?
The T-Rex. Did you name your dog T-Rex?
No. What is the female version of T-Rex? Name-wise, at least.
Tanya Rex?
No, Jeff.
Tina Rex?
Take the T out.
Rexi?
Rexi. How
Very
about
cute.
that? Yeah. Well, Carson suggested that. I had suggested it before, but just in passing. And I did Buster Olney's podcast, as I do every week, a couple days ago. And this came up, and I told him the whole story, what we're looking at. And he said, it's got to be Rexi. It's got to be Rexi. So Buster is going to take credit for the naming of our dog, when in truth, it was Carson Keenahan, age 4, who loves T-Rex more than anything. So Rex the dinosaur from Toy Story. Now we have a dog named Rexi. And when I came home from my trip today, first thing I did was grab her and say, Rexi, come here. How about that?
And it's locked in. I love it.
Right.
Not down the baseball lane, but it's got a good story nonetheless. And Carson will be able to say that forever, that he named Rexi. That's so
the
cute.
whole point, Jeff. As he grows up with this dog, we're all going to remember that Carson was the person that named Rexi. And that's what you do for grandchildren. It's so good. And it's way better than Frank from the Elias, I think.
I think that full name would have been pretty incredible. This is our dog, Frank from the Elias. Come here, Frank from the Elias. Come here. Stay. Frank. Right. Frank from the Elias. Stay.
Right.
Stephen Wright. Imagine being at the dog park? Like, oh, what's your dog's name? Frank from the Elias.
Stephen Wright also said, I named my dog Stay. It's really confusing, though. I go, come here, Stay. Come here, Stay. Come. That was
They just don't do comedy like that anymore, Dad.
No. There's never been anyone quite like Stephen Wright. So we'll go from there.
Well, let's get to baseball, right?
Finally,
Since Rexi is officially named, let's go to our takeaways.
RBIs is officially ours now.
Right.
Okay, all right. Takeaways from this week, Jeff. This really struck me the other day. As of Tuesday morning, a couple days ago, I looked at the strikeout leaders in the major leagues, and the first 5 were all left-handers, okay? So we had Garrett Crochet, we had Mackenzie Gore, Tarek Skubal, Chris Sale, and Carlos Rodon. 5 left-handed pitchers. Now, Jeff, I only bring this up because there were several times in baseball history where the left-hander was just a crafty little guy who, threw junk balls and curveballs and sinkers and sliders and everything else. There haven't been, at least until recently, that many huge power pitching left-handers. And that doesn't include, of course, Steve Carlton and Randy Johnson, and of course, Sandy Koufax and many, many others. But right now, the top 5, as of the other day, the top 5 strikeout guys in the major leagues were all left-handed. I'm going to pursue this story in print and try to figure out, is there anything to this? Is this just a coincidence? But I do know the last time that the top 3 in the major leagues finished the season where the top 3 strikeout guys in the major leagues were left-handed was 1965. It was a long time ago. It was Sandy Koufax, Sam McDowell, and Bob Veal. So I'm not suggesting these 5 are going to be the top 5 at the end of the year, but here we are in the middle of June, and we got some left-handers throwing some serious gas when there was a time where they were more the junk baller than the flamethrowers.
And Bob Veal made it on our all meats team. Did we do that team yet? I don't think so.
We have done the all food team, and yes, Bob Veal was on it.
That's what it was on. That's what I remember it from.
Yeah, he made the all meat team for sure. Jeff, I went to see the Nationals the other day, which I love to do. And the Nationals have a pitcher named Trevor Williams, who's a good pitcher, and I just love this. He started a book club among the Washington Nationals. So the players on the Nationals have a book club, which reminds me of Pete Fairbanks and Colin Poche. We talked about last year. They do the New York Times crossword puzzle every day. Carson Kelly, I forgot to tell you when I went to talk to him the other day to give him the whole Carson Kelly thing. He was doing a crossword puzzle. It's really cool. So Trevor Williams started a book club. And I said, well, where does that come from? He goes, when my brothers and I were kids, we were reading all the time, any science fiction book we could get our hands on. And now he has children, and in the house, they're always playing books on tape while they're in the car or cooking in the house. And I just find it the healthiest thing in the world. He told me that Brandon Sanderson is his favorite author. And he just looked at me, and I was touched by this. He goes, I just love stories. I just love great storytelling. And for a major league pitcher to say that kind of jumps out at me. Does it to you too? Isn't that kind of cool?
No, I think storytelling is something that's so important, and for them to be able to feel that importance, right? I'm a father of a young child. She'll be 2 in August, and I've never done books on tape with her, but we have one of those Tony boxes, which I know you know what they are, Dad. You can put them on the little box, and they sing songs, but some of them read stories. And I've noticed as McKinley's gotten older, she likes those storytelling ones because she loves reading books, Dad. She'll sit there and she'll, pretend like she's reading. But now she's starting to finish the lines of her favorite book. So we'll read Llama Llama Red Pajama says goodnight to his mama. And it's she loves the rhythm of it. So, I mean, I love a good book. So I'm here for it.
And I did not realize you could do your own. You don't have to have a Toy Story one. So I read the Paddington book at Kelly's house, and I am the narrator of a Paddington book that kids never listen to, but that's okay. I read into it. It was really neat.
I'm glad that's the book you chose to read, because I feel like your voice would do better in a children's book than in a 50 Shades of Grey type situation. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I considered reading, I'm fascinated by Sacrifice Flies, but Kelly didn't think it was the appropriate for a 4 and a 2-year-old.
Yeah, I don't think that would, and it's not a long book, but it is compared to children's books. So I would be careful on that choice right there, Dad.
Right. Okay. A couple other things. The Cubs are really good, Jeff. We talk about their offense all the time, but through Tuesday, their bullpen had a 0.99 ERA over their last 25 games, and no other team in the major leagues bullpen was under 2 during that time, and the Cubs ERA was under 1. And Chris Flexen, who had no runs allowed in his first 17 and a third innings, he's been a big boost. For the whole bullpen has been absolutely great lately, which is another reason why the Cubs are in first place in the NL Central. And last one, the Giants through Tuesday had won 6 games in a row, all by 1 run. So the only team that's won more than 6 consecutive 1-run games were the 1925 Cubs, who won 7 straight games, all of them by 1 run. That's pretty hard to do. And the Giants are for real, Jeff. That National League West is going to be a fist fight the rest of the way.
Yeah, Dan, just we're recording this on Wednesday night, so all of the scores haven't come through yet, but you're looking at the Padres 2 games behind the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Giants only 1 game behind them. This is no joke.
It's a great division. It's really, really good. Okay, that's it for the takeaways.
What do you have for Kurkjians today?
Well, Aaron Judge is not a Kurkjian. He's just too good for that, having another amazing season. But the other day, Jeff, he hit his 10th home run in the first inning this season. Okay. So for a little context, the Astros, who are a good team, have hit 4 homers in the first inning all season. They have scored 15 runs in the first inning all season. And Aaron Judge by himself has hit 10 homers in the first inning. I mean, and believe me, Jeff, when he hits a bomb in the first inning, it's like everyone in the ballpark, especially when they're at home, obviously, is really into it. And everyone gets, really jazzed. Aaron went deep again. The record for home runs in the first inning is Major League record is 18, set by Judge last year and Alex Rodriguez in 2001. So he at this pace is going to break all of his records from last year, and maybe he'll hit 20 homers in the first inning this year. Think about that. You have a 20 homer season, it's pretty good. To hit 20 homers in the first inning, that's certainly possible, because anything is possible with Aaron Judge.
Isn't it great for baseball that Shohei and Aaron Judge are in different leagues?
Yeah, it's great, because they're going to win a bunch more MVPs together, and we won't have to have them competing for something like that. It's great. Yes. Hey, Jeff, you came up with a pretty cool one the other day. I'm so proud of you. I have corrupted you so badly that you are starting to look at things kind of in a similar way that I do, which I'm telling you is not a healthy way to live your life. But you called me the other day and said, Dad, 5 of the 9 games last night were extra inning games.
I believe that was Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had noticed it. I had already made a note of it. And I called Frank from the Elias.
Your dog.
And the last time that happened was on April 15th, 2009. So the last time that more than half of the games played were extra inning games was 16 years ago. But good for you, Jeff, for recognizing that.
Well, and we definitely got lucky that it was a Monday, so not all teams were playing. Usually a full slate of games. You have 15 games going on at one time. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And a lot of one-run games in that, by the way. I mean, obviously, if you're going into extra innings, you're usually going to be a one-run game. Right. But all things that I pointed out. Did you get anything from my note on the 3-letter versus a 4-letter last name pitcher from the Phillies in the Cubs game?
Yeah, we had Colin Ray against Mickey Abel, right?
Yeah.
I didn't go any further on that, because I'm sure there was a Jimmy Key against somebody else with 3 letters, but I'm on it, Jeff. Yeah. I'm on it, Jeff. I'm going to find this for you, because I love it when you start thinking that way. So, Jeff, one thing that we have been tracking all year, as you know, are the production from the number 9 spot in the order. Our favorite name in baseball, Carson Kelly, hit for the cycle out of the number 9 spot, all that. We know all that. But Kyle Higashioka of the Padres had a 5 RBI game out of the number 9 spot. You remember this, Kurkjian? I've done this multiple times. So that's the 8th time this year that a number 9 hitter has driven in 5 runs in a game. And the record for an entire season is 8 times, done in 2023 and 2024. So we have the rest of the season for someone in the 9 spot to drive in 5 runs, and we've set another crazy major league record. That's this season, Jeff. How many times have we slapped our forehead and said, boy, when's the last time that happened? Or how crazy is that? This is a very small, unimportant, pointless thing, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's that the way we construct the lineup, you can hit a guy 9th and he can still produce. And just another reminder, Jeff, you make a mistake with almost any major league hitter today, whether he's hitting 1st or 9th, he can hurt you if you make a mistake. And believe me, 9 hitters have been pretty darn productive this year.
Yeah, Dad, we've definitely slapped our foreheads quite a few times on that number 9 production. And when a Kurkjian boy slaps his forehead, it's big, because we got a big forehead. Let me tell you, there's a 5 head I got over here, and you've got a 6 head working.
I do. Look at the power alleys I've got in my forehead now. God, it's terrible.
Oh, okay. It's like looking in a time machine for me, Dad. One day when I'm your age, I'm going to be thinking about you. Let me tell you that much. Yeah. I'm on my way. Look at this, Dad. I went on a walk with my daughter and my wife, Emily. Look.
Jeff.
Look.
Pretty soon you're going to be like me, more hair on your back than on your head. I'm turning into
Walter Goggins over here.
Who is Walter Goggins?
Walter Goggins is an actor. He was just in a big movie. He was in the he was in the new White Lotus season, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
If you ever want to see that guy's got a hairline on him. He looks like he's halfway through taking a wig off. That's how back his, he looks like he got stopped halfway through.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He has a funny name, though. He kind of sounds like a cartoon character,
Right.
doesn't he?
Walter Goggins. I like it. Yeah, I love it when people sound like their names. Bridget Bardot was like one of the most beautiful women ever. Doesn't Bridget Bardot sound like a beautiful woman? And again, back from my time, Boris Karloff was one of the great scary movie characters. He played Frankenstein and Boris Karloff. That's a scary name. I mean, it fits him perfectly.
My favorite one was former Wisconsin running back, and then I think he was with the Broncos, was Monte Ball, a little running back. Didn't he just sound like a little running back?
Yes. And we're going to
You made fun of Jake Berger for looking like a Jake Berger last year.
That's so funny because, boy, you are really ahead of me, Jeff. We'll get to both of them here in a minute. All right. The Rockies, Jeff, lead the league in something, and it's actually something good. The Rockies have the most triples of any team in the major leagues with 21. Now, it's, of course, in part because of the huge ballpark in which they play. You gotta play deep. It's just a huge outfield. And when the ball stays in play, you can run forever. So, but I was struck by the fact that when I looked this up, they had 20 triples. They have 21 now, 20 triples, and they had 12 wins. So do you find it odd that they had way more triples than victories? Does that sound odd to you? Because it did to me.
Well, you should be fascinated by triples as well, Dad, because commonly they could probably lead to a sacrifice fly.
Right.
Or if they're so bad that they can't even drive in a run with a runner on third from a triple, then we're in trouble.
Right. I'm getting to that. So the 2019 Royals, after 74 games, had 26 triples and 25 wins. So there is precedent for having more triples than victories this late in the season. And I just found out that the 2019 Tigers are the only team ever to finish a season with the most triples and be the lowest scoring team in the major leagues. And that's where the Rockies are right now. They're last in runs scored and first in triples. Does sound odd to you there?
That shouldn't add up at all.
Right. If you hit 21 triples,
aside,
you would think you got a shot to score some runs. Last in the league in runs scored, first in the league in triples. Those are the kind of things that intrigue me. All right, you talked about great names, Jeff. Let's face it, Roman Anthony, who just got his first major league hit the other night. Is that a great baseball name or what? We talked about the Roman Empire has started, but really, how regal does that sound? Roman Anthony, how can you fail with a name like that?
Right fielder Roman Anthony. I think the position he plays too. Also, the double R, right fielder Roman Anthony.
Yeah,
I think it's got a smooth vibe to it.
Right, I love it. So Roman Anthony is one of 5 major league players in history to have a first name of Roman. So there are only 5 in history that have ever had that. And on the same team, of course, is Marcelo Meyer, who's the second really great young player that the Red Sox have. He's the only player in the history of the game named Marcelo. And they have Christian Campbell, the third of the great young prospects that the Red Sox have now brought to the major leagues. And he spells his first name with a K. So there's never been a Christian with a K in the history of Major League Baseball. There's never been a Marcelo, and there have only been 5 Romans in the history of baseball. I love that stuff.
Only 5 Romans.
And first name Roman, yes.
One of my best friends in the world, Amy, my co-host from Las Vegas, her son, Roman. They call him Roman the Rocket. He's playing football right now, just like his big brother.
Right. That is so cool. All right, Jeff, you mentioned Jake Berger. I don't know what to do with this, but somebody has to mention it. Jake Berger had an at-bat the other night against Jonah Bride. So it was a Berger-Bride matchup. Now, some clever people are going to have to fill in their own joke here, but you could go bride burger or burger bride, but there has to be something we could do with that. And I've been at it all day, and I can't think of anything clever to go with burger bride, unless you marry some guy who loves to eat hamburgers and you are his burger bride.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the McDonald family, maybe you could do something along those lines, the burger bride, right? If her name's Wendy, and now she's Wendy McDonald.
Right.
We're like bringing all of the fast food joints in here.
Right. Well, as we know, Jake Berger's name connects with a lot, and he's faced several pitchers named King in his major league career. So the Burger King at bats are just so good. And I told you, I went to him once. I said, Jake, do you find it funny when all sorts of people point out that you just had a Burger King at bat? And he looks at me, he's a funny dude. And he goes, yeah, it's really funny. And he said, the memes that you see the next day, they are absolutely hysterical. So he's got a good sense of humor about it. But if you come up with something better than Burger Bride, you let me know, okay?
I'm glad you used meme correctly this time, because last time you got emoji and meme mixed up.
All right, Jeff, I'm getting better, but I still stink at this.
I'm praising you. You're doing great.
I still stink at this stuff. I'm trying, though.
Dad, what do you have for on this date in baseball history?
Well, on June 12th, 1939, we had the first induction at Cooperstown in history, where they actually had a ceremony, and 11 living players went to the induction. So, which is like so cool. And what I found, Jeff, and I can't believe I didn't know this before, the 11 guys formed a team Tim. We had a player at each position with one little fudge. So I'll go through them. The catcher is Connie Mack, who went in as a manager, of course, but was a catcher and a pretty good one. George Sisler at first, Eddie Collins at second, Hannes Wagner at shortstop. We had to put Nap Lejeune at third because he did play indeed 3 games at third base in his career, every other one at second. So that's the only fudge we had. But the outfield was Babe Ruth, Tris Speaker, and Ty Cobb. And the 2 pitchers were Walter Johnson and Cy Young. And all 11 were officially inducted at the first ceremony, 1939. And all 11 of those guys were alive. Isn't that cool? I just did not know that I could make a team out of those 11.
Do you think they were thinking about that? They couldn't have been.
I don't think they could have been, but
yeah, they didn't have MLB The Show to put that whole team together and run a simulation, or Stratomatic at the time. So I don't think they were thinking about it.
I'm just amazed there is a team there, and I never noticed that until I just started looking at this date in baseball history. Love that.
Big shout out to my cousin Michael, your nephew, who loved drafting Nap Lejeune in Stratomatic because he liked the way the name sounded.
Jeff, they named the Cleveland Indians. Well, the Cleveland, they were named after one. They were the Cleveland Naps. It's just unbelievable. That's how good a player he was.
And I was a morning radio show host in Cleveland for 3 years. So I took a lot of naps in Cleveland. I'll tell you that much.
Very good, Jeff.
All right, Dad, coming up next on Is This a Great Game or What? I Am a Seam Head, featuring a current representative / professional baseball player. Very interesting. Ozzie to Orel, the best number 21 and the greatest Cardinal of all time. It's all coming up next. All right, Dad. I am a seam head. For people listening right now, you can be part of the show. Send me a voice memo, jeff@greatgameorwhat.com. That's the email. And just record into your phone 60 seconds or less why you are a seam head, and end it with, I'm Jeff Kurkjian and I am a seam head. And today, Dad, we have J.D. Schulten, who is a representative of the United States of America, who is a seam head, who also, well, I'll let him explain it better, Dad. He is a professional baseball player in independent baseball. So let's take a listen.
This is Iowa State Representative J.D. Schulten, and first I just got to say that having a father-son podcast about baseball is pretty darn cool, because my dad taught me everything I know about the game. He coached high school and college for nearly 40 years, and we still talk baseball almost every single day. Last summer, when what started as an emergency start with less than 3 hours notice to sticking around the Sioux City Explorers for the rest of the season and tying the team lead for wins at 44 years old was pretty darn special. I'm also the only politician to play professional baseball while actively serving in the legislature. So when I won re-election last fall, I immediately reached out to baseball academies in the Des Moines area to see if I could train there during the legislative session. And I worked my tail off in this offseason to put myself in a position to play one last year. In fact, the last day of the legislative session, we worked through the night and ended at 6:30 in the morning. Well, the previous day at 4:30, there was a bill that got kicked down to one of the committees, and I knew I had an hour and a half because I was not on that committee window, and so I went to one of these academies, got a bullpen in, made it back to the legislature, and then worked through the night. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that the Sioux City Explorers and the American Association have given me, and this week has been incredibly unique. On Sunday, I was activated on the roster with the X's for the first time this year. On Monday, I launched our campaign for U.S. Senate here in Iowa, and on Tuesday, I got my first outing going an inning and a third of scoreless baseball.
You could get a shout out just like Representative Schulten here. Email me, Jeff@greatgameorwhat.com. How great is that, Dad?
Yeah, it's so good. And independent leagues, Jeff, are so great because it usually gives a last chance to somebody who has no chance to make it, and they can finally show it. I remember a guy named Jack Doherty with the Rangers who played in the 80s. Great guy, hilariously funny. And he got signed and went to an independent league, and he was signed by the Rangers out of an independent league. So he got noticed, which is almost impossible. And he told me that when he went to the tryout for the independent league, he said, I was taking ground balls next to a guy who was wearing dress shoes and a collared shirt. And he said, boy, I think I might be in the wrong place. But he got a chance to play pro ball after going to that tryout. And the independent league was where he went and then ended up eventually in the major league. So we love the independent league. JD, keep pitching, man. It's really good.
And thank you so much for that. And if you want to be a part of it, send a voice memo, Jeff@greatgameorwhat.com. Dad, from Ozzie to Orel, we're counting down the best players from 1 to 55. And today, a very difficult one. This will cause eruptions on social media in our comments. Number 21.
All right, this is impossible. I have chosen Warren Spahn over Roberto Clemente, and I can't even begin to tell you how painful that is, and I will get smashed from coast to coast on this. Let's be clear. Roberto Clemente is one of the greatest players ever. He is a hero in so many different ways, but I'm going to go with Warren Spahn here. Oh, God, this is so hard. Warren Spahn won 363 games, Jeff. That's the fifth most of all time, most ever by a left-handed pitcher. He won 20 games 13 times, 13 different seasons. He won 20 games. He completed 382 games in his career. He completed, Jeff, 85 games in his age 40 years on. 85 complete games. Just keep in mind, different game, different time, different industry. The leader in complete games right now is Justin Verlander with 26. Warren Spahn had 85 in his age 40 year and above. That's how durable he was. And again, he was a military hero also. He missed the 43 through 45 seasons because he was overseas. And he didn't really get started with his major league career until age 25. He was on the bridge at Remagen when Allied forces crossed the Rhine for the first time in 1945. So as much as I love Roberto Clemente on every level, and anyone who says it needs to be Clemente, no argument here, but Warren Spahn is one of the greatest pitchers in Major League history and a war hero on top of that.
Can't debate that, Dad. I know that's a tough one for you.
Oh,
so
boy.
I'm glad you made a good argument, though.
Look, I came up with the game, Ozzie to Orel. You got to make some difficult decisions, and that is the most difficult decision of them all.
Maybe another difficult decision, though. Best of all, Tim, I give you a different organization every single week, and you tell me who is the greatest player to play for that franchise. Dad, the Cardinals this
Right.
week.
Well, I had to go with an easy one because it was so tumultuous picking somebody over Roberto Clemente at 21. So I'm going with Stan Musial, of course. He's the greatest Cardinal ever. He's arguably one of the 4 greatest hitters of all time. Again, my list, you could go Ruth, Williams, Barry Bonds, and Stan Musial and feel pretty good about things. Forget about Barry Bonds and everything else, but the numbers, oh boy. Stan Musial, 331 lifetime, Jeff, 475 homers, OPS of 976. He won 3 MVPs, finished second in the MVP 4 different times. He was 24-time All-Star. Now, they used to play 2 All-Star games in a certain year, depending on the year. He won 7 batting titles, Jeff. And in the 55 All-Star game, Jeff, he comes to the plate. It's the 12th inning, and he looks at Yogi Berra, the American League catcher, who has caught the entire All-Star game. It's the 12th inning. He looks at Yogi and he says, Yogi, I'm tired. Time to go home. And he hit a home run off Frank Sullivan to end the All-Star game. Wow. I mean, that's who Stan Musial was. Again, we've told you he had 3,630 hits, 1815 at home, 1815 on the road exactly, which is just incredible. And I say this all the time. 1943, Jeff, 20 triples, 18 strikeouts for the entire season. Guys strike out 18 times in a week now, Jeff, without exaggeration. 18 strikeouts for a season, in a season in which he hit with great power and hit 20 triples. More triples than strikeouts. Impossible.
Dad, I know that was a tough one. For people who might make the argument, who's number 2? Is Albert Pujols in the conversation here?
Well, now you're getting into really hard questions. I think Bob Gibson is the second greatest Cardinal ever because he spent his entire career with the Cardinals. He's the most ferocious pitcher that I've ever seen in my life. And I think there's a case, at least it's an argument, if you had one pitcher in Major League history to pitch Game 7 of the World Series, it could be Sandy Koufax. It could also be Bob Gibson. That's how great he was, especially in his prime.
All right, Dad. Well, next week on the podcast, we have a really exciting guest. So this Sunday is Father's Day, right? So a happy early Father's Day to you, Dad.
And to you, Jeff, wearing your dad hat.
Thank you so much. Very excited for that. And in spirit of Father's Day, next week, joining us on the podcast will be Cal Ripken Jr. and his son, Ryan Ripken, going to be our guests.
Yeah, can't wait, Jeff. Their average height is 6'5". Our average height is 5'5". So I've checked with Frank from the Elias already. It's the biggest disparity in height between a father-son combo doing a podcast and another father-son combo doing the same podcast. I don't know how he found that, but it's true. Okay.
Yeah, our guests last year for Father's Day, it was Carl Ravitch and his son Sam Ravitch, both great broadcasters. Of course, you and Carl have worked together, oh my gosh, 30 years now almost?
Yes, exactly.
And that height disparity for us was not that big. So we felt a little bit more at home with them. But, Dad, we had Cal Ripken Jr. on the show last year by himself, right? And now with his son on, I'm so curious to talk to him a little bit about them playing hoops together. And Ryan is obviously son of Cal Ripken Jr., great athlete, but was a really good athlete in his day too, dunking on his dad on the basketball court.
Well, Jeff, he played professional baseball for years,
sake.
And he was a great high school basketball player who was going to South Carolina to play baseball and basketball. That's how good a basketball player he was. So, yeah, I'm sure we will ask Ryan Ripken, when's the last time he dunked on his father? And, of course, we'll ask Cal Jr., when's the last time he dunked on his son?
And I can't wait to bring in, stories from Cal Ripken Jr. about his dad, Senior, that he's going to be bringing up. It's going to be just an awesome uniting of fathers and sons. So to all of the dads out there, a happy early Father's Day from our Father and Son podcast, Dad. A happy early Father's Day to you. Dad, last year, my daughter McKinley got you a baseball with her handprint on it. So I have a little something for you from her again this year as a happy Father's Day from your sweet granddaughter.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and you're doing a great job as a father. I'm so proud of you. You keep up the good work, okay?
Well, thank you, Dad. That means a whole lot coming from you because you're my hero. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Hope you enjoy a great Father's Day weekend. And as always, thank you for being a part of our family.